So this was a segment of the Boule Bird himself, and I will say I lost mad respect for Bill Bellamy. Like the dick eating and the munching he was doing in his interview was beyond me. It was mad weird. Like, dude, have something. Coof. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these niggas in Hollywood? But anyways, Roland Martin is a lot to unpack in that video, for a lack of a better phrase. He even exposed his own debating tactics. Some of you think he's a good debater, but he even says in here what he does that helps him, quote unquote, win. All he does is just shift the conversation, talk about something that's else, or make the argument about something else, or have you arguing about something that the topic's not even about. But in this segment, they were discussing what happened with Don Lennon and then why Don Lennon got fired, and basically he was saying Don Lennon got emotional and all this other stuff. But I guess that Indian dude was trying to make the point that the NRA was a civil rights organization that helped black people. And this typical unstudied, unchallenged trope from Democrats is that, well, the NRA, but the Mulford Act and all that, and they run with that, and they stay at that spot. They never look at the situation that happened in Chicago. You saw the sister that her son shot the dude. Well, that's only allowed to happen because the NRA helped McDonald fight the Supreme Court to be able to have his gun outside. His housing projects wouldn't let him have a gun, or his government housing, and he had to fight the Supreme Court to get that. The NRA helped do that. The sister that was in from Philly, and she went to Jersey with the gun in the car. She stupidly told the cops she had a gun. They didn't ask her. She was in jail. That Democrat DA was going to throw the book at her for doing that. Another brother, an armored car driver who had full metal jackets in his. He's allowed to have it for work, but he's not allowed to have it for concealed carry. Well, he had it in his car, messed up. His fault, but he forgot he had it in his car. Got pulled over. They got him for the bullets. Right? Again, NRA helped him. They'll point to the one time, which I don't agree with them more for that. There's a lot going on with that. It wasn't just about the Black Panthers. It was about also these white dudes who was carrying guns to the Capitol, and you know the history of what those white boys was doing to each other back in the 1800s and 1900s. They were fighting each other for real, for real. So it didn't just stop. And the Mulford Act did not take away guns from black people. It did not restrict people's gun right. It just said you can't come to the Capitol with a load of guns, which, again, I don't agree with that. But that was bipartisan. That was Democrats and Republican. And that was an administration of the NRA, which was trash to me for doing that. You could try to finagle it and make sense of it if you want, of the timing and the optics of it and what it looked like for Reagan to say, well, we don't want it to get crazy out here with y'all carrying these guns. I don't agree with that. I mean, I understand that could be the argument made, but no. But that's what Roland will bring up. He'll say, what's the history? Killer Mike, for years before he got, bent over by Democrats, he was making that point. He talked about his specific family that got trained by a set organization. See, it's like, it's an organization with a whole bunch of chapters, and you're trying to judge it as one big organization, but there are separate different chapters that did different things, and there are organizations that might have been more pro-black, more pro-helpful to black folks than others. But to just say, oh, the NRA didn't help with this situation, or the NRA didn't help with Philando Castile, it's not their responsibility to help with Philando Castile, right? If you want the help, and I've said this over the years, if you want the NRA to represent you, if you want them to help you, then you become a fucking member. That's how you get their help. If they choose to do something pro bono, like they did for the brother of the armored car guy or the sister from Jersey, of course, that was something that had a vested interest in them. That's something that they want to go to court to fight those things, because, like, you see what happened in Chicago with the McDonald case, that helped Illinois as a whole, specifically Chicago, but that helped the state as a whole get a gun win. That's something they can put under their belt. So, of course, they can pick and choose when they want to help, but it's up to them. That's the type of organization they are. They don't go out just jumping into cases like that all willy-nilly. That was a situation that was mutually beneficial for them, and it helped out an individual as well. And they jumped on that bandwagon. They weren't going to jump on Philando Castile situation. But anyways, let's hear what Roland has to say.
Oh, no. That's when you hit them with specifics. Yeah. And see, what Don should have said is, so if the NRA care about the freedom of black people, why is it that when the Black Panthers brought the long guns to the state capitol in Sacramento, the NRA with Governor Ronald Reagan immediately passed a law banning it? Yeah. Boom. Done. That's a statement of fact. Correct. Of the Black Panthers who studied the law, Huey P. Newton. The law said you can carry long rifles, as long as they're pointed in the air. It was the law. Once the Negroes did it, they said, hey, come here. Change this damn law. Yeah. The NRA stood with Ronald Reagan on that. See, what Don should have said is, Vivek, if the NRA cares so much about black people, why is it that every time we had an African American who was lawfully carrying a weapon, such as Philando Castile, he was shot and killed by the cops? Why did the NRA come to his defense?
I've been in and out of therapy.
Philando Castile technically wasn't lawfully carrying, being that he had marijuana in his system, which is a trap. I get it. It's a trap. It's a cop-out. And oh yeah, FYI, for all you black folks, especially you New Yorkers who just got your pistol permits that still smoke weed because it's legal in the state, but it's not federally legal, y'all not gonna get no deal like Hunter Biden got for being a crackhead, getting a gun, and letting that gun get disposed of in front of a school in a garbage can, where a kid could have picked it up. And his girl, who didn't have a pistol permit, she took it from him and put it in the trash. Then had the FBI go digging for it to find him. All these different hands touching the gun that he shouldn't have gotten in the first place. Just FYI, y'all not gonna get that. But yeah, that's the same old argument that the left will say. They'll bring up the Mulford Act, and they'll bring up Philando Castile. It's not their responsibility. If Philando Castile was a member and he paid his dues and he had that insurance that if you shoot somebody, they're gonna give you mental health, they're gonna go to court for you, they're gonna have a team come in and clean up your house, get rid of the blood or the damage, whatever. If you had that, then you could say, okay, they represent me. Outside of that, they have no obligation to help you or support you. They can pick and choose, just like a lawyer can do cases pro bono and help when they want to help, but they're only going to do that when it benefits them too, mutually benefits them. Yeah. But to pick those two cases and ignore all the other cases I mentioned, right? They won't talk about a Supreme Court case. They helped the brother go always to the Supreme Court to win his case. Right now in New York, they're fighting all types of fights to get rid of our limitations on magazines, the restrictions we have on our AR-15s, all that other stuff. Our concealed carry shit is in the court right now. The Supreme Court helped us, New Yorkers, but then right after that, the Democrats fucked us again by making it even more difficult to get your pistol permits. That racist white lady view is correct. When black people started getting guns, the laws changed, and every Democrat city across the country has did just that. They made it harder. The new number one register of pistol handguns and permissibles are black women. And as you see, when black women get guns, it's not for the tiki torch white boys. It's for the Pookie Rays like that dude in Chicago who had the dreads, whose son shot him because he punched his mom in the face. Yeah, but yeah, Roland's 2 points are easily refutable. And again, I don't support them all for that. However, I can name names of people in the last 10 years. You went all the way back to the fucking 1970 something. But I can name cases in the last 5-10 years that black people wouldn't have got any help from any Democratic organization. They wouldn't have got help from any Democratic politicians. None of them bourgeoisie, boule niggas, none of them would have helped him, an old black man who's helpless in his community and a soft target. He had to go to the white boys in the NRA to get them to help him be able to carry his gun outside of his home to protect themselves, because these dudes was running up on old people trying to rob them. And I think that was a story not that long ago too. It wasn't him, but it was someone else around older than him that they tried to rob him and he popped them. Thank God for that. But it was only possible because of the NRA letting black people fully exercise their Second Amendment rights. Okay? Yes, that organization in that time was a 100-year organization, different administrations, different factions, different leaderships. It was wrong. I don't agree with them all for that at all. But you can't judge that entire organization over 100 years based off that one act. And you can't ignore all the black people who would either be in jail still had it not been for the NRA. Don't bring up a person who wasn't a member and who was smoking weed, which is technically a violation of your pistol permit, concealed carry, situation and say, aha, they didn't support him, so boom. No, they're not going to support him. They're pro-law enforcement. That's not a mutually benefiting situation in the first place. So that's like, stop it.
What do you say to black folk about their guns in 2017?
Google Robert F. Williams. He was the person that inspired the Panthers even become Panthers. He was a black Marxist. He was in the 50s. He was a person that the NRA gave a charter to in North Carolina so that blacks could defend themselves. Later, those blacks became people like the Deacons of Defense. He also sold them ammunition when they couldn't buy ammunition locally. The NRA did. So the NRA has a value to me. My father's been a member. I'm a member. I think my father might be lifetime. I'm a member. It has had a value to me my entire life. My entire life, my father and uncles have been members of the NRA. I am personally think that 1 million black men this week should go online and just get a year's membership and see how you like it. They didn't hold that thing in Atlanta for nothing. They could have held it in Minnesota. They could have held it in Oklahoma. They could have held it in North Texas. They held it in Atlanta because they really don't have a problem with you having guns. And I was talking to Colin Noor.
You believe that?
Absolutely, I do.
I'm not sure I buy that.
You don't have to buy it.
I agree with everything you say.
You don't.
I'm not sure. Here's my point. If we want to do something about the gun control issue in this country, give every Negro a gun in America.
Hey,
that problem goes away.
But let's do it then. Let's test the theory.
I'm all for it.
Let's see. Tavis and I want 1 million men.
But that's
to
not
join.
because they want us to have it.
No. I didn't say they want us to have it. They don't want us to not have it.
Okay.
See, as long as they have their rights, if you get your rights as a sideline, cool.
Okay.
White men don't want to give up their guns, and I'm with that. If you don't want to give up your guns and I have that right, not privileged, but I have that right too, then I'm standing on your side of the room when they say who's for guns. Simple that. You don't have to be my friend to be my ally. But if you're going to pretend my friend, then you got to vote with me. That's my white Democrats and progressives. But if we're not going to be pretend friends, we just going to be allies, let's make sure that 1 million black men join the NRA. Let's show up on the floor of the NRA like Maj does. Let's show up like the NRA spokesman, my man Colin Noor, who says that, Michael, part of the problem is every time guns are described in reference to black people, they talk about gangs and drugs, and that's unfair and that's wrong. Most gun owners that I know, whether it's 10 people to my left or my right, are responsible home-owning black men with families who own rifles and handguns. They own rifles because they hunt for sport. They own handguns to protect themselves. They have a shotgun in the house to protect their wife and children. That's most of the guys I know. We need to normalize that. People need to see Tavis at a shooting range. People need to see Dr. Cornel West trying to get off a Uzi at the range. You know what I mean? Yeah. But what we cannot have anymore is that when guns are talked about, we go silent and shrug in a corner. We allow somehow our moms and aunties and sisters to only talk about guns. And I'm encouraging more women to shoot too. Like I think they're the Pink Panthers or the Pandas, a group of black women that are shooting. We need these service people that are coming home to form shooting clubs. And this ain't, hey, they're coming to kill us. This is because guns get accidentally picked up by children. Your children should know how to, first of all, walk away from a gun if they see one. But by the time your boy's 12, 13, 14 years old, he should have been to the range and should know how to load and unload a pistol. We need to be cognizant that these rights are not everywhere. I was in London 3 years ago, and I got one question from all the black kids. Do you know Gucci Man? And part B to that question, can you own a gun for real?